Hey everyone, we're going to take a look at the overclocking results that I've achieved for this build, which is a Radium. Take a look at Radium Blackout. I'll put a link in the video description if you want all of the details, the specs on this system. And there's also going to be another video with all of the performance and temperature results. But we're currently in the BIOS and there's 5 profiles here that I've made. And you can see that one of them is 5.3 gigahertz. This is actually a really nice CPU. So it's a 7700K Delidded. And I've used liquid metal. This is all obviously liquid cooled, single loop, just the CPU and GPUs in the loop. Dual GTX 1080 Ti's. We have 32 gigabytes of G.Skill memory. This actually runs up to 4266, but I have it running at 3866. That's about as high as the CPU will handle. Yeah, any higher than that and it's unstable. And I have it running at its XMP profile, which is 19, 19, 19, 39, 1.4 volts. A little bit of extra voltage there. But yeah, if you like RGB, this is definitely a nice looking memory and incredibly high frequency as well. So you'll notice that the memory and SLI bridge are different compared to the Radium Blackout video where I covered all of the specs and details on this system. And that's just because the memory and SLI bridge that I had installed for that video is actually what I kind of would want to install if it were, kind of up to me. It's what suits this blackout theme, which is, a lot of black, a little bit of silver. But this is actually how the build will ship with this memory and this SLI bridge. A little bit of RGB, and we also have the RGB LED strips, a couple of them. So let's get to these profiles. I'm going to ship this system at 5 gigahertz just to be safe, and because the customer is not putting a huge amount of importance on high overclocks. But the last one of these systems that I built, I shipped at 5.1, and the one before that also at 5.1. But yeah, I wanted to make a quick video about this because we've actually achieved 5.3 quite comfortably. So I'm going to load this profile. Now the voltage is quite high, but it's delidded, so the temps are really not too bad at all. So you can see what we've done here. The memory at 3866. So yeah, 1.475, quite a high voltage, but we're now going to take a look at the temps. Now, I haven't done 72 hours of stability testing for this profile. I've done 24 hours, which should be more than enough with 8/64 stability tests. So, I'm pretty positive that it's stable, but I'm not going to ship it at that. I'm just leaving it there for the customer to have a play with if they really want to, if they kind of feel the need. But I'm now going to run 8/64 stability test just to give you a quick look at the temperatures. Now please keep in mind that the temperature here right now, actually you're going to be able to see exactly what it is in a second. I have temp sensors in this build for the loop, for the coolant temp, and also for the ambient temperature. So both of those are quite important mainly if you're using an Aquero and you're setting up fan curves and everything else. Now I do actually have a video on how to set up the Aquero, hardware, software, fan curves and everything else. Check the video description for that because people have been asking for that again, and I didn't actually do that too long ago either. So yeah, here we have 8/64, which is actually my favorite program. I absolutely love it. I'm using the sidebar gadget for it just because it's really handy. So you can see it's at 5.3 gigahertz, 3866 on the memory. Timings there. GPUs running slightly above ambient. Interesting, the second one is 3 degrees hotter. We have the CPU, which is now cooling down slightly after boot. I mean, it is running at 5.3, so okay, there you can see the coolant at 35 degrees and the ambient at 36 degrees. So the coolant is actually, oh, there we go. The ambient just went to 35. So the coolant temp currently is exactly the same as the ambient temp And actually prior to this video, the system has been idling for a couple of hours. So, alright, let's run 8064 stability test, and you'll see that the temperatures stay well within range. Okay, we're just going to run CPU. Considering the ambient temperature, you know, the temperatures are quite acceptable. Where this system will be, it will have a much more reasonable climate, and you know, probably closer to a 20-degree ambient temperature. But even despite the ambient temperature, you can see the temperatures. I mean, the hottest core here is what, 75 degrees? So we could actually push this higher even in this hot ambient temperature. We could probably take this to 5.4, but the voltage would then need to go up above 1.5 volts. So yeah, it's getting up to 76. It'll probably max out at about just over 80 degrees. That's what I've seen so far if I leave it running for a while. But yeah, we don't want to sit there watching that all day. So let's now have a look at the power consumption. So about 700 watts.
690 up and down, plus minus 5.
Okay. Coil 1 is very low. I mean, usually it's a lot higher than that. These GPUs are actually a little bit overclocked as well. Not far. They actually let us down a little bit in this system.
Well, actually, I think any noise they're actually hearing right now, it's more the fan making noise up us than actually the machine itself.
Exactly.
So it's really, really quiet.
Yeah, it is. If we just stop for a sec. Yeah, the fan is definitely louder. And that fan is whisper quiet too. Let's now take a look at the profile that I'm actually going to ship this system at, which is 5 gigahertz, 1.35 volts. And, you know, with that much less voltage, how low the temps actually are. And I'm going to show all of the temperature results at the end of the video. So loading the 5 gigahertz profile. So you can see that we have the panels on for this testing, and these panels are quite restrictive. This case design is restrictive of airflow, certainly for liquid cooling, and with the mods that I've done on the top panel, it's actually made the fans even closer to the top panel, which has restricted it even more, but there is still 30 millimeters under there between the fans and the top panel. Actually, for silver tide, I removed this mesh to just allow even more airflow. But you know, this is aluminium. It is going to dissipate a bit of heat. I can actually feel it's quite warm. But yeah, a good airflow mod for this case would be a great thing to do, and something that I'd definitely like to do. But let's take a look. So yeah, you can see that we're now at 5 gigahertz. And the core voltage is at 1.35 volts. Everything else is exactly the same as it was. And we're now going to run 8064 stability test again. Now obviously if we run it for a couple of hours or 24 hours, the temps will get hotter than this, but not a lot. They actually max out pretty quickly and stay stable. They might get 5 degrees hotter than this as the loop heats up a little bit, but then reach an equilibrium. So yeah, you can see that we have the hottest core at 68 degrees, holding quite stable. So if you can imagine if the ambient was actually 20 degrees Celsius, how much cooler it would be. I mean, it would be down in the low 50s. And that's at 5 gigahertz. So that's what you get with a good Delidded and liquid cooling. So there we go, it's started to actually move, but yeah, it's still holding very steady. Okay, that's it for this video. Make sure you check out the next one, which is going to have all of the performance results for this system. Thanks for watching, and remember that none of this would be possible without our customers and our patrons.